Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Have Care of Your Diet. Welcome. And pretty much this lesson is inspired by a video I was watching this morning. Elder Pastor did called The Black Church is a Hot Mess. And I put this in the description box for those of you that haven't seen it yet. And he was pretty much dealing with Jake in these churches and their atrocious diet that they have, something called soul food. And he was speaking in particular about this guy. I believe he's a pastor that's in the hospital right now, and talking about prayers, pray for him and all this stuff. Well, if the dude followed the dietary law, he wouldn't be in this condition, in this situation, And that's what the name of the lesson is. Have care of your diet. Now, the so-called Black American diet, I say it that way, which they call soul food, is atrocious. And the next in line to that is the Ephraimite or so-called Puerto Rican diet, which is pretty much the same thing, It's like the same. That's why when Jake, Judah sees like a Puerto Rican restaurant or Dominican restaurant or Brazilian restaurant, they roll up in there because they know they're going to find the same type of foods that they eat because we're all the same people and we all have a similar diet, Now, don't get me wrong. I love me some mac and cheese. I love some fried chicken, and all the trimmings, that are lawful, but it's not good for you. Just because it tastes good don't mean it's good for you, and eventually it brings about problems, too many problems. So what I did was I was trying to proofread through Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, to go through some of the words before I did this lesson, just to refamiliarize myself with some of the words. But as I was going through it, there was so much information coming out. I said, let me just do the lesson and let the spirit, flow how it will. And hopefully that same spirit that was flowing while I was looking through it will come back and allow us to make this an edifying lesson. Because the first part of doing something about your situation is to know about it. First you arm yourself with the knowledge. Then, first and foremost, I should have even said it this way. First and foremost, the first line of defense is prayer. That's the very first thing we do. Pray to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Then we analyze the problem, know about the problem, and then we execute it, by showing discipline. Now, I happen to look up the word diet, right? And the word diet here says regular food, from Old French diete, diet, pittance, fare. I looked up the word fare, right, F-A-R-E, and the second definition is a range of food of a particular type. Then it goes on to say from medieval Latin dieta, parliamentary assembly, also a day's work, daily food allowance, food. The daily food allowance is what? That's called the per diem. All right, food from Latin dieta, prescribed way of life. See, this is a prescribed way of life. So your diet has a big part to play in your day of life, your way of life, and you have to have a certain routine. Now, sometimes we go off the mark, because we're in hell, in case you didn't know. But a person's diet determines a lot about them mentally and physically. It says from Greek dieta, originally way of life. So it's a way of life, regiment, dwelling. So it's a way of life. Eating is a way of life. Like there's a saying, Elder Pastor Gabar always used it, that I forget who, the person he got it from, but it says, live to eat. Don't live to eat, eat to live. So in other words, eat foods that are going to be easy to digest, things that are going to help benefit you, because as you're going to see, as we go through some of these diseases, that are caused by the foods that we eat, the chemicals that we breathe, the waters that we drink, the clothing that we wear, and everything within our environment. We have enough pollutants and toxins and free radicals to last us a lifetime, let alone shoveling, all types of unnecessary empty carbs down our throat, processed foods down our throat, which is making our situation even worse, and making us even more depressed. It says, related to dietashtai, lead one's life. So everything begins with the diet, man. Lead one's life. And the scriptures say that if you destroy the Lord's tabernacle, the Lord's going to destroy you. And we all have, our shortcomings, our things that, some brothers drink too much, some brothers eat too much, some brothers eat too many sweets, so on and so forth. There's habits that are formed because of depression, and comfort foods pretty much equal death foods. You see? It says, and from dietan, originally separated, select food and drink, frequentative of dianistai, take apart, from dia, apart, and anistai, take, all right, to give a lot. Now I look down here, diet, the verb, late 14th century, to regulate one's diet for the sake of health. And we know that when we look up the word health, for someone to be healthy, they have to be whole, WHOLE, all right? And if the body's not whole, you're going to have problems. You're going to have diseases. That's why organs break down, different parts of the body break down, and disease enters in because the body is not at ease. The immune system, immune means in service, it's not working properly. To regulate, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm just reading some information that I came across and certain things that are in the scriptures pertaining to these things, so that you may make a better decision on your own. To regulate one's diet for the sake of health, fare, which we've looked at the word fare, which the word fare is a range of food of a particular type. It says, meaning to regulate oneself as to food, especially against fatness. See? So this is why we have to take care of things that we put into our mouth, because we want to be able to eat and still be able to use the bathroom, because when you eat, you should be able to use the bathroom. We have a lot of digestive problems because, the way we were brought up with bad diets, all of us. We don't know the first and last thing about a probiotic, a prebiotic, or this or that, Just whatever tastes good, just shovel it down. Drinking all kind of, sodas and things of that nature because they were cheaper. Kool-Aid with tons of sugar in it, thicker than goddamn cough syrup. All these things are pretty much destroying Jake out here, and especially the ones in these goddamn churches. And that's what I said, goddamn. So now I got a couple of precepts. This is Ecclesiastes 30:25. It says, a cheerful and a good heart will have care of his meat and diet, which is a part of what the title is. So it says, a cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet. And you look at those people that are pretty healthy, and you look at their lifestyle, their diets, and you will see that their diets consist of a lot of fruits and vegetables, lean meats, humanely raised meats, if possible. When you go get eggs, I know there's more expensive if you can, but if not, then pray over what you have, and do the best that you can, because not everybody has the ability to eat a healthier lifestyle, because food is expensive in general. But then if you're trying to get stuff that's even more healthier, it's a lot more expensive too. But either way, you're going to pay. You can either pay at the register, or you're going to pay at the doctor's with your health. So this is something to consider. So if you can make better decisions, make the better decision. You get If you can't get organic foods, then get the regular food, but make sure you wash them off, clean them real good to get those pesticides off them. Especially, if you could get the like the broccolis and cauliflowers, if you could get the organic, better get that, because this pestilence shit, man. I mean, the pesticides is terrible. But it says a cheerful and good heart will have care of his meat and diet. Ecclesiastes 31:16, eat as it becometh a man, those things which are set before thee, and devour not. Should be not. It says note there. Devour not, lest thou be hated. Right, because here it is. You're an individual. You're going to a place and you fucking pounding down all the food. And here it is. Everybody hasn't even got a chance to eat yet. And here it is. You constantly going back. This is your third, fourth plate. And there's people that haven't even had their first. And you just piling the food on and just tearing that shit down. After a while, people are going to start, look at this goddamn glutton, So the scriptures say, it gives us how to deal. Devour not, lest thou be hated. Leave off first for manners' sake. And that's a thing too. A lot of jakes do not have manners. I mean, you have some that do, but you have a lot of jakes out there that don't have manners. It's almost like if they was raised by wild wolves in the forest. And be not unsatiable. When you look at the word unsatiable, it means to be unsatisfied. Here it is. You got a bottomless pit. You swallow. You done swallow half the food that they made. You done swallowed it, and you still hungry. There's a problem there. Least thou offend, right? Because everybody got to eat. It says, when thou sittest among many, reach not thy hand out first of all, right? And the scriptures teach us knowledge, wisdom, understanding, prophecies, how to deal, how to be just, how to walk with our power, and also manners. It says, a very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured. It says, and he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. This goes into what Esau calls sleep apnea. Right? And I typed in sleep apnea earlier. Right? And this is what came up. All right, so I just get this one. There was a different one. Sleep apnea. It says sleep apnea is a potentially serious sleep disorder in which breathing repeatedly stops and starts. If you snore loudly and feel tired, even there was another one that had a lot more info, but we'll deal with that. Sleep apnea is when you stop breathing in your sleep. All right, and that's caused by a lot of times by being overweight. And he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him. But the pain of watching and choler and pangs of the belly are with an unsatiable man, right? Because you're constantly pounding food down, and really you're never really given the immune system time to digest what it eats, because the immune system is more than just eating, because when you eat, the body has to break it down. Stomach, different acids, different things, the way, breaks it down. Then it goes through different channels. You got your small intestine, large intestine, so on and so forth. You got the rectum, you got the, whatever, all of that, right? And each step, it takes out nutrients that it needs, and it discards the rest, and it moves to the next. The next takes out this. One takes out the protein. The other one takes out the vitamin A and the vitamin B, so on and so forth. Then after that process, the last step is what? Taking a dump to get rid of it. But then also that whole system there also is used to heal the body, But if it's constantly working on digestion, then it's not able to work on healing other problems in the body, which will get progressively worse. And like I said, once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just reading what the scriptures say and whatever other info that can help. It's up to you as the individual to listen to the info, do your own research, and first and foremost pray to Yahweh B'Shem Shai, and then build whatever you got to build off of it and get out of it what you got to get out of it. If thou hast been forced to eat, arise, go forth, vomit, and thou shalt have rest. My son, hear me and despise me not, and at the last thou shalt find as I told thee. In all thy works be quick, so shall there no sickness come unto thee. All right. I believe that was the last verse. Yep. Now let's go to this one here. Let me get rid of this. And this one is Ecclesiastes 37:27. It says, my son, prove thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. For all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. Be not unsatiable in dainty things. So what are dainty things? That is the staple American diet. Fats. All right. When we read Revelation 18:4, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee. Thou shalt find them no more. So now what are the dainty things? When we look up the word dainty, it goes back to the word liparos, which goes back to the word lipos, which is grease. Grease is the enemy, and the type of grease that they use here, they don't use when you go to these fast food restaurants and restaurants in general. They don't use coconut oil and avocado oil and oils like that are easier for the body to digest and can actually help the body, because the body needs fats, good fats, because the body needs, as it needs water, it also needs lubrication. But these greases that they use are soy, are heavily processed, different types of oils, that pretty much destroy the body, cause fatty liver, clog up the arteries, clog up everything in your system, and pretty much fuck you up. Causes all kinds of inflammation, And like I said, I'm going to repeat it again. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just reading what the Bible says and what other information that goes with it. So it says, things which pertain to a sumptuous and delicate style of living. It says from lipos, grease, fat. So you look at the majority of things that people consume. What is the number one thing, especially in America, that people consume that pretty much everybody likes, that is very fat? Hamburgers, man. Burgers. Cheeseburgers, double cheeseburgers, triple cheeseburgers, heart attack burgers. With what? With a side of grease, French fries. And they chase it down with what? With a Coke or a strawberry shake. Crazy. And anytime you see Jake that would even think about eating a salad, it has to have some kind of pork in it, or something unhealthy, or tons of salad dressing, super salty, super thick and creamy, which pretty much is not even really, it helps, but you're really destroying the effects of the nutrition there, But that's what you choose. That's on you. You have to make better decisions. First and foremost, pray to Yahweh B'Shem Shai, and then you have to attack it according to what's going on within you. Every person knows their pain. It says back in Ecclesiastes 37:29, be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy what? Upon meats. Jake loves, pilot, man, they ain't give me enough meat. Here it is. You got a plate of food. Half of the plate is meat. The other half is rice and other, and they're talking about they didn't give you enough meat. Hey, Jake likes meat, but too much meat, no good. For excess of meats bringeth sickness. See? And surfeiting, which is what? An overdoing of something, will turn into cola. So let's look up those two words. Let's look up surfacing. I can't really copy it here unless, you know what? Let me go here, then I'll come back. I could do it this way. Surfacing. I think the word surfate is going to come up. Yep, surfate. Cause someone or to desire no more of something as a result of having consumed or done it to excess. Consume too much of something, right? So it's overdoing it. And then what's cola? Let's look up the word cola. It says, in medieval science and medicine, one of the four bodily humors identified with bile and believed to be associated with a peevish or irascible temperament, anger or irascibility. What is choler meaning? Let's see what they give us here. Yellow bile, right? And yellow bile comes from what? That comes from the liver. The bile comes from the liver. That, I'm not a doctor. I don't know the different, functions expertly, but I know the bile mixes, to be able to help break down the foods. And when the liver is fatty, it doesn't, it's not able to produce those things. And when it does, a lot of times it gets stuck, I believe, in the gallbladder or something like that, because your whole system is fucked up. It says bile sense obsolete, the quality of state of being bilious or bilious, ready disposition to irritation, right? So why is it irritation and anger and all that? Why? Because the insatiableness of those meats or the excess of those meats brings sickness, and sickness brings what? Choler, which is you got your inflammations, your pains, and that's not pleasant. When you in a world of pain because your body's acting up, that doesn't feel good. It's depressing. It's fucking super depressing. And the brother Atazwan put up a scripture earlier where it speaks about, the day of one's death is better than a continual sickness. And this is what's happening with Jake because of their diet. Like this big sack of, this big sack here, he's going through what he's going through because he has a very bad diet. And after you finish sucking down them ribs, and that mac and cheese with a pound of sugar in it, and all that other garbage that you done finish eating, then you chase it with a sweet ass drink, sweet tea or some Kool-Aid or whatever. Then you go and get you some sweet cake, some kind of cake with pounds of icing on it. That's death. You're riding the death train. If you want to live, get off the next stop. Hey, it's a lifestyle, man. We just read what the word diet means. It says regulate oneself as to food, especially against fatness. And it's pretty much a lifestyle. Where is it? We just read it somewhere. Way of life. It's a way of life, a regimen, a dwelling. It's a way of life. It has to be a part of your makeup. It has to be a part of, you have to know what to and what not to. All right. So it says, by surfeiting have many perished, but he that taketh heed prolongeth his life. As the name of the lesson is, which is a part of the scriptures, have care of your diet. Now, going to Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to read the 15th verse, and I'm going to jump around a little bit, because I was reading from the first verse down. I only got down to about the 22nd verse or so, and I said, you know what, let me just jump on in here, that way we could get it done, because there's a lot in here. So Deuteronomy 28:10, it says, and all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and they shall be afraid of thee. I just had to read that one because this is heavy, and this is what we're going back to. This happened right after we came out of Egypt, and it's going to happen again, but on a phenomenal rate this time. I know that has nothing to do with the lesson, but when I read it, I said I must be allowed. So, 15th verse, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And this is what Jake doesn't understand, is that we are under curses. We are under a direct curse from the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for disobeying his words. And when you try to explain this to these boneheads out here, they don't want to listen because they're blinded. And they know that pork is unclean, catfish is unclean, shrimp is unclean, lobster is unclean, so on and so forth. But they say they can eat it. They don't say, you know what? Why don't I just, try to change my life around? Let me try to eat lawful foods. No, everything that they eat, the Lord said we could, but you could eat lamb, you could eat, turkey, things of that nature. No, what are they attracted to? The shit that they can't eat, are not supposed to eat. So, it says, cursed shall thou be in a city. What is a city? Anywhere you at. You have cities, right? You have hoods, ghettos, barrios. You have the reservations where Gad is at. You have favelas. That's down in Brazil and all them different places. You have shanty towns, like in, I believe, Jamaica and other Caribbean islands. And you have all over the world, you have something that resembles a ghetto. And wherever you have ghettos in the world, you have Israelites going through these same curses. Make no mistake about it. Those of you that complain about having it hard in the hood, go and check out documentaries on the res. Go and check the documentary on these Gadites, these so-called North American Indians, on these reservation camps. And then look at your condition. Yeah, we in a fucked up condition, but if you lived in that type of environment, you would probably kill yourself. If you live in any other environment of Jake around the world that's in these different countries that are really poor, you would probably off yourself because it's a horrible condition. It says, and cursed shall thou be in the field. The field represents the world. So anywhere on the planet where you have Israelites, you're going to have hoods, ghettos, barrios, whatever you want to call them. And you're going to have Jake suffering the curses of this Bible. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. That represents your pocket. And it represents your bank account in these times, because that's what the basket was. The basket was where you put the fruit in. The store is the barn where you would store your fruits and whatever it was that you stored, your grains and different things of that nature. Today, that represents the pocket, your money, and the place where you store your money at, which is what? The bank. Jake is doing bad. You have some Jakes out there that are doing all right, but for the most part, Jake is not really doing that well. The majority. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, which are what? Our children, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. And this happened in different captivities. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. When we're born into this world, we're born into a curse, and when we leave this world, we leave it a curse. Because Jake comes in, a lot of Jakes don't know who they are. They come in with nothing. And by the time, even if they made it big in this world, by the time they leave, they usually leave penniless. Because Esau's right there, that money-grubbing bastard, to take everything from you. And that's pretty much a direct curse from the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now let's get into the good part, or to the meat. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke. Let's look up this word cursing. All right. The word there is ma'ara, which goes back to the word arar, which is a curse or bitterly, right? It says curse, execration, curse, which execration, I looked it up, is pretty much like a curse out, It says the act of cursing or denouncing. So pretty much the curse so uttered. So when we look upon ourselves in the condition that we're in, we're playing out the curses that the Bible speaks of. That's what it means by execration. It's pretty much like they say that the term is written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. Well, that's what the execration is. It's written all over us. You know, that we are the people of the scriptures. It's a good precept, the brother. But Salaki, I know you brothers been putting up good precepts. I haven't really been reading them. Hosea 8:8, Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. And that's a part of the curse, not knowing who we are. And then another part of the curse is this Renaissance Christianity pushed upon Jake, you know, which is pretty much like Elder Apostle Tar was saying in his video here, that they pretty much are feeding them the same diet that they were feeding them in slavery, or maybe it was somebody that he was, something he was playing on here, or maybe he said it. I can't remember who it was, but they're feeding Jake the same diet that they had in slavery. But the difference is that when Jake was eating that crap in slavery, they were working hard on the field, so they were sweating it out. You know, they were getting rid of it because of the hard work that they had to do. Now, they're eating the same shit, but not doing anything. Sitting on their big fat ass. You know? And if you look at Jake, all Jake wants is pleasure. Whenever Jake gets in an uncomfortable situation, they don't want discomfort. They want pleasure. And pleasure is not always good. You have to be able to, to balance that. All right, so now we looked up the word cursing. Let's look up the word vexation. The word vexation is maha wamah, which goes back to the word hawam, which means rang again, make a noise, move, destroyed. It says tumult, confusion, disquietude, discomfiture, destruction, trouble, vexation. And you look at Jake is always in a tumultuous, confused state. You know, from their reasonings to the way they talk, loud as fuck. And they got to be the loudest person in the room. You know, and everything is always in a confused state because there's no order there. Because they don't have a set of rules and regulations to be governed by. That's what you had this video brother sent me about this little Jake. He couldn't be no more than maybe 5 years old, maybe. You know, 6 years old, maybe 5 or 6 years old, maybe a little younger than that. Calling the cop a bitch ass, you know, punching the cop, hitting the cop, you know. And this is what's being bred in our cities, in our communities today. But what does that come from? That comes from a lack of knowing. That's what the scriptures say. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You know, there's no way to govern, you know, the youth if you yourself have not been governed correctly. And your parents and their parents were not governed correctly. You know, this is pretty much an ongoing cycle. And these are all parts of the curses. You know, and Barakatah Yahweh Shemal Shai, that we're almost out of here. You know, because if this was to continue on, all Esau would have to do is just step back. And Jake would just kill themselves. They'll kill themselves off. They'll genocide themselves off for Esau. You know? So let's go back. The next word is rebuke. And the word rebuke goes to the word maga'irath, which goes back to the word ga'ir. Rebuke, corrupt, reprove. Rebuke, reproof, curse. So a reproof is what? Correction. And Jake is in need of constant correction. Rebuke is the same thing. Rebuke is a stronger, you know, when you rebuke somebody, you know, you pretty much telling them off. Rebuke, express sharp disapproval or criticism of someone because of their behavior or actions. And it's all to bring them back. The scriptures tell us, let's go to the book of Isaiah 58. And this is a part of the job of the prophets. Isaiah 58:1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins. So we're supposed to let them know, especially if they want to know. When we out there speaking, we speak in general. If somebody comes up and asks a question, we let them know. But this rebuke is pretty much a disapproval of the Most High and the actions that Jake is taking, in this world, especially in these so-called Christian churches, which are supposed to be the standard of the people of the Lord. Oh, that's a man of the cloth. Oh, yeah? What has he done? Does he eat pork? Why don't he have a beard on his face? So many things you could go into. And they're not teaching the congregation that. And I was watching another video Elder Pastor Tara did where the IUIC was teaching this one group of Jakes, and they were kind of listening towards the end of the video. But as he said, once they go back into that church, they're gonna go right back to their old ways, because they're not gonna have any structure there to continue that form of teaching. You see, Jake is acting the way they act because they don't know. But when it's brought to you, you're supposed to change, amend your ways, become a new man. The Lord said that at the time of their ignorance, he winked at. But now commandeth all men to repent. What does it mean to repent? To go back to penance, to go back to feeling bad. Feeling bad for what? For breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. It's a reflection. Looking back at the 4 sets of laws, the moral, civil, dietary, and ceremonial laws. There's a way that we're supposed to dress. There's a way that we're supposed to conduct ourselves. There's a diet that we're supposed to keep. There's a way that we're supposed to deal with each other. And all this was stripped from us. That's why it says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins. And this is why, Jake killed the prophets. Because they didn't want to be reproved. They didn't want to be corrected. They didn't want to hear the ways of the Lord. They wanted to hear smooth things. And nobody else fits that but our people. They love the easy way, the easy route. Any other nation deals with the hard, with the hard. Jake wants the easy, the dainty, the goodly, the comfort. So going back, let's see what else we could glean off of this. So let's read this again and then move on to the next verse. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand for to do, until thou be destroyed. And we are destroyed, destructured as a people. And until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. Now we're getting hot and heavier. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee. Let's look up this word pestilence. The word there is debar. Now the word debar means word. Now why is it associated with pestilence? Because the Most High is the one that gave the word. Matter of fact, what is that scripture? Is that 1 Samuel chapter 2? No. This is a good one, but this ain't it. That's Deuteronomy 32. Just came to me. Yep. Deuteronomy 32:39. See, now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. So the beginning stages of anything that we deal with is what? Prayer to our power and his son, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Then after that, everything else comes after that. I kill and I make alive. I what? I wound and I heal, because a sickness is a what? A wound that has the body at not at ease, diseased, and it has the immune system working overtime trying to get that body back and establish that body back to its whole state where it could be healthy again. You see? But there's a constant barrage of pollutants, toxins, free radicals that are constantly, messing us up. Plus the chemicals we ingest from the foods that we eat and the drinks that we drink, so on and so forth. So it says, neither is there any what that can deliver out of my hand. So you could do all the right things, have all the right concoctions, all the right juices and all the right vegetables and all the right herbs and all the right everything. But if it's not blessed of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you're not going to get the healing. Just like Asa, because Asa went directly to the physician instead of going to the Father. So before we move on, right? Before we read this, I want to read another precept that I got here. Let me bring this back. But let me finish reading this. The bar. Pestilence, plague, murrain, cattle, disease, cattle plague. So it's a plague. And a lot of these plagues too come from the environment, the toxins, the foods we ingest, which have all type of shit in them. And it causes a lot of these diseases. That's why it says be careful or have care of thy diet. Now, Ecclesiastes 18:19, it says, learn before thou speak and use physic or ever thou be sick. So we're supposed to use the physician, but the first step is what? Prayer. Before judgment examine thyself, and in the day of visitation thou shalt find mercy. Humble thyself before thou be sick. And in the time of sins, show repentance. Let nothing hinder thee to pay thy vow in due time, and defer not unto death to be justified. Before thou prayest, prepare thyself, and be not as one that tempteth the Lord. Think upon the wrath that shall be at the end, and the time of vengeance when he shall turn away his face. And a lot of these Israelites out here are going to be in a bad state because they turned from the Lord, and the Lord is going to turn his face away from them when that time comes. That's why this guy here, they could do all the praying they want, but if the Lord is ready to take him out, he's going back to the spirit world. Bottom line. So going back here, it says, the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And these curses would follow us everywhere we went. So in every captivity we went to, after this was written, these things came upon us in one form or another. Now let's get some more. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption. We look up the word consumption. The word there is shakapath, which goes back to the word shakap, which is a bird, unclean bird. But shakapath is consumption, wasting disease, a wasting disease of the lungs, emaciation. When we look up the word emaciation, right? It means emaciation, the state of being abnormally thin or weak. And how is that? That is because of the immune system breaking down. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving medical advice. And when the immune system is not in service, the body breaks down, the cells deteriorate, the blood is not flowing properly like it should. The white blood cells and red blood cells are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And eventually what happens? Somebody gets skinnier and skinnier, like cancer patients, and they die. That's that emaciation, that consumption. All right? It says, and with what? A fever. And what is a fever? This is one of the defenses of the body to let you know something is wrong. And it raises the temperature to try to get rid of whatever is perturbing zibadi. I'm trying to, use a little code. Quadakath goes back to the word quadah. Kindle, burn, fever. Inflammation, yeah. So inflammation is caused by disease. You see? And that inflammation is where you feel those pains. You know, whether your liver is inflamed, or your kidneys are inflamed, or your lungs are inflamed, or your brain, or whatever. Your joints. That's all a part of the curses, and it's all a part of, it comes with the diet. Like I said, most people that are healthy, I mean, some of them drop dead because it's time for them to go, but most people that are healthy, they have a certain look about them. They have a more focused look. They're lean. You can see that they look good. Their skin is kind of glowing. Their hair is decent. You know, their posture is decent. Their attitude is good. But when somebody's sick, they're always depressed, down and out because of the inflammations. These are the curses, man. And it's heavy because the Spirit had me do a lesson not too long ago where I said most of the Jake you see, they're overweight, morbidly obese. You know? It says, smite thee with a consumption, with a fever, and with inflammation. Inflammation. Dalaquath goes back to the word dalak. Pursue, kindle, chase. Okay, that's burning. It says inflammation, a burning fever, inflammation. Yeah, because that's what it is. There's something not right within, you know, the system that is causing these inflammations. That is caught, you know, because the body has a way of trying to heal itself. And like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice, you know, but blood rushes here and blood rushes there. And white blood cells here, and you know, and you get inflammations from these different, you know, things that are not supposed to be in the body, and the body's working to try to fight it off. But if you're constantly shoving in your face day in and day out and not allowing the body to do its job, then what's going to happen? You're fighting a losing battle. It says a localized physical condition in which part of the body becomes reddened, swollen, hot, and often painful, especially as a reaction to injury or infection. You know, hey man, the scriptures speak about everything. So let's go back, see what else we could find. An extreme burning. Let's go with extreme burning. Let's see what extreme burning says. The word is charakar. Goes back to the word charar. Burn, dried, angry, kindled. Extreme heat, inflammation, violent heat, fever. Right, that's the body. The body temperature raising. You know, from all of these different, you know, free radicals and toxins or whatever the case may be that are in the body. And I keep saying I'm not a doctor and I'm not giving medical advice. All right. And with the sword and with blasting. Sword should be karab. Yep. Blasting. The word there is shadapah. And I remember years ago, one of Bishop Nathaniel's men said that this was the blaster. You know, that's from the gun. Boom. No, that's not what it's talking about. Goes back to the word shadap. Blasted. Blighted or blasted thing. Blighted, blasted, blight of crops. Let's see what else comes up. Blasting of grain as done by the east wind. Right. When things are, you know, the Lord sends locusts and different other insects to destroy your crops, or the wind to blow, you know, man. Let's see what else we got. Let's just look up the word blasting. Let's see what, matter of fact, let's go to the root word. Let's see what it says. And the root word, shadap. To scorch, blight, scorch of ears of corn, particles, primitive root, blast. See, this goes back into the famine. So pretty much it's like a famine. Because this Genesis 41:6, this goes back to the dream that Pharaoh had. And behold, 7 thin ears and blasted, with the east wind sprung up after them. All right. So this is dealing with crops. And when Jake had crops, they didn't yield what they were supposed to. Matter of fact, there's a scripture, I'm not sure if it's Haggai or whatever the case may be, that kind of goes into that. But I can't think of it right now. And other parts of the scripture said, that your woman shall cook for you, and you shall not have enough. That's all a part of it. Blasted, used to express annoyance, withered or blighted, laid waste. Right, that's when your crops, are destroyed, whether they wither away or whether some type of storm or some type of frost. Because a lot of times frost destroys a lot of fruits, and berries and things of that nature. So the Lord will cause these things to happen. So that was the blasting. Not talking about the blast from the shotgun blast. Shotgun blast I heard. All right, sword, mildew, that's horrible. Your rock one. That sounds like something fierce. Mildew, paleness, lividness. That's mold. And that's everywhere. Wherever you go to Jake's homes, and man, that's everywhere. And they shall pursue thee until thou perish, right? Because from all these things, Jake is catching hell. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. Those are the shackles on the feet and the yoke of iron around the neck. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. I'm trying to see if I could find some more. Right here. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with emerods, which are hemorrhoids, and with the scab, and with the itch, scabies and all that stuff, whereof thou canst not be healed. Why? Because it's a direct curse from the Lord. Look up the word botch, shachayan. It says boil, inflamed spot, inflammation, eruption, a man, leprosy of man and beast. So you have different types. You have boils, you have leprosy, ulcers, internal and external. These are all a part of the curses that the Lord brought upon Jake, different diseases. So let's see what else we got. The emerods, which are hemorrhoids. Ipal, hill, mound, fort, stronghold. Tumor, hemorrhoid, right? What are hemorrhoids? Hemorrhoids are just your intestines coming out your behind. Because the digestive system is fucked up. So it's just hanging out your ass, pretty much, No other way to put it. I would go to the images, but I ain't trying to see that. You could type, if you want to see it, type in the hemorrhoids, go to Google, type, go to the images, and you'll see what hemorrhoids are if you don't know what hemorrhoids are by now. And this is what the Lord did to the Egyptians. He also did it to the Philistines when they took the Ark of the Covenant, jacked them up. Okay, with the scab. The word there is garab. There it says scratch. Itch, scab, right. You know how Jake's skin is always itchy. Sometimes you have these Jakes that get boils on their face. Shit that comes up on their skin is itchy. Here it says scurvy. Then you have something called, I just mentioned it, scabies. These are all curses from the Lord, man. Scurf. Then after a while, the shit gets sore. Right here, see scabies, jugus. Here it says scurvy. Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is what Esau had when they came over here, and Gad and them gave them vitamin C to heal it. See? Scurvy, a disease caused by a deficiency of vitamin C. characterized by swollen, bleeding gums and the opening of previously healed wounds, which particularly affect poorly nourished sailors until the end of the 18th century. Yep. And like I said, I keep saying, I'm not a doctor. I am not giving medical advice. All right, let's see what else we got. The itch. Charam. Itch, an eruptive disease. Sun. Right. Root, meaning to scrape. And Job had so many boils on him that he had to take a potsherd and scrape himself because he was itchy all over the place. These are all part of the diseases. And the majority of these diseases come from diet. And you look at Jake in the hoods or wherever they at, and it's pretty much, you'll see that. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Yeah, you see a lot of Jakes out there, that are pretty much, it's demons on them, but they're not in their right mind. Let's see what else we could find. Boom, boom, boom. I want to go down to here we go. The Lord shall bring, nope. The Lord shall, verse 35, the Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. Yeah, a lot of Jakes have problems, in their joints, from arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, so on and so forth. And I believe Shachayan, we read this earlier, boil, inflame, spot, inflammation, eruption. Right. And that also, you have, inflammation internally, organs, in your joints, so on and so forth. This is all part of the diseases the Lord put upon our people and, from the diet. All right, so now let's jump down to the 58th verse. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai thy power, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance. Yeah, because sometimes people that have cancer, it either eats them up quickly or it takes years for them to die. And these devils, through their radical surgery, cut into you or hit you with a dose of that CHEMO, they hit you with the Kimbo slice, that makes you feel worse. It says, and sore sicknesses and of long continuance, all these different diseases. It says, moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and plague which is not written in the book of this law. Then will the Lord thy power bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. Right. That there goes your habits, herpes, your AIDS, all of that. Everything that you could think of. And that is not written, because the Lord didn't write everything down. He gave you basics of what we needed. He gave us the basics of what we needed. So have care of your diet to the best of your ability. We can't go overboard either, because sometimes, if brothers kind of get to the point where they get too extreme with it, we got to have faith too in the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and we do the best that we can. Don't be too obsessive over it, but also, don't be too slack on it either. So with that, I pray that you brothers and your few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say Shalom.